Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa, like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here.
Shalom, Salama, Siyami, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, we welcome you this morning. This morning is Quest to Unite Africa Discussions Live. Q2A Discussions Live. And I'm excited to go over what it is that we do at Quest to Unite Africa. We've been in a week where we have seen a lot of things happening over the last couple of days. And that's been going all around the world. But I want us to understand what that the reality is, the concept is. The concept is really the East versus the West, or the West versus the East, however you want to call it, however you want to frame it. But they are literally fighting over the resources of Africa. And Q2A's mission is to build critical infrastructure and economic development on the continent for the benefit of Africa and its people. That's the benefit. The African diaspora is spread all throughout the four corners of this earth, whether voluntarily or forcefully. And in certain cases, the voluntarily wasn't necessarily voluntarily, especially when there's outside influences and forces that caused a major disruption of that individual taking flight to places other than on the continent. But now we are looking at the world now seeing Africa for what Africa really is. This morning, Mike and I are going to talk about something that we have been putting together along with our Q2A team. Shout out to Sister Shar, who's a really big driving force on that. We have taken notes, we have been able to see the lessons learned, and we've been able to make great contacts that are awesome stakeholders for Quest to Unite Africa's mission. Part of Quest to Unite Africa, our mission is to talk with our brothers and sisters on the continent, to get an understanding, to really see what it is that's there. Whenever you buy a house or whenever you buy a car, you're trying to inspect it. When you buy a car in this day and age, you really won't take the car to a dealership, or excuse me, a mechanic. But you may look at the key aspects of the car. I need to see what's under the car. Let me see about the tuning belt. How's the battery? Can I get a battery tester in there to see how many volts of charge is left in there? How is the brakes? Let me take a look at the calipers, the rotors, the brake pads. Let me see how the tires and the wheels are. Do they have enough tread? Let's see how the interior looks. Does the steering wheel actually work? Let's get a test drive and see if the thing can actually run and get up to speeds without, any type of banging or clicking in the transmission. Conversely, with a home, let's see how this plumbing looks like. First and foremost, let's see how this interior and exterior looks. Let's see if there's any large gaping holes. Let's see if the roof is intact, that, nothing's coming through. through. Let's see how the walls are looking so there's no mold or other, biological conditions that could cause you to be sick in the home. Let's look to see if the electrical is good, so the no type of burnt ends on the outlets or things of that nature, showing that there could be electrical problems that could start a fire. Generally speaking, you'll have a home inspection, especially banks. They require that. They want to know what they're purchasing for you in lieu of you for that mortgage. And at Quest to Unite Africa, that's the same goal that we want to have with our people, because we have understood the challenges that comes along with up and going to these places. Some of our people, they go to these places with a great clear head of understanding and the pragmatism and practicality of what it is, what that reality is going to look like on the continent. And some of our people, they don't. And then when they realize the difficulties of being there, then they get frustrated, and with their frustration, they talk bad. But what we try to do, we want to be able to give you the scoop, the there. And we don't want to emotionally hype up anything. I want to let you know this is what's going on. I don't have a product to sell. That's not our intent here at Quest Unite Africa. If you notice our intent, we're a nonprofit charity organization. We want to be able to help, to innovate, to modernize, to provide efficiencies. Because then you're able to have those end products, the homes with roads that you can get to, with sewage that can get treated, with water that can be pumped to you, that would be hopefully microbe free, that's drinkable without providing or causing any type of parasitic infections or other pathological issues. Or parasitical issues or microbial issues. You pick. Generally speaking, here, there are requirements, and folks do have, cities are required to do checks. That's part of the EPA. There's a standard here, which is why our water is relatively safe to drink in most areas. I'd say most areas, it's a caveat. And unfortunately, that's not the case in a majority, I'm going to say it, a majority of African nations. They don't look at infrastructure like that. Hey, be blessed that you got water. If it messes you up, then I guess it messes you up. That should not be the rationale. If you have water, don't worry about water out of the running out, because if water runs out of the faucet, you can't trust it anyway. That shouldn't be the rationale. Any water that you drink needs to come from a bottle, because you can't trust anything That shouldn't be the rationale. So here at Q2UA Africa, that is what we do to provide for that economic development, that critical infrastructure innovation. And that's not just centric on or focused on, whether you're an Israelite by faith or understanding, or you're just a African American that sees that the only viable option of getting ahead is moving to the continent. The other day, there was a Wall Street Journal article that showed that the American dream is actually leaving the US and working for something better. I've never seen that really published in such veracity, especially with the Wall Street Journal. That's a very conservative or right leaning publication. But it was there, plain as day. Why? Because what they're trying to dog whistle and clue in on is, you better start going back to the source of where the resources are on at. And don't think that we're the only ones moving to the continent. We're not. See, you have to understand, in all the times of where we go, guess what? There are always a group of folks that migrate and tail right along with us. Whether it's done purposefully, forcefully, that's how it goes. But in this time, we're working and learning how to do things more efficiently, have more functionality, have more integration and collaboration. So on March 31st of 2024, this year, in less than 90 days, we will have our first Invest in Africa seminar. And with this, I'm going to introduce to you all our resident brother, Brother Mike. Shalom. Greetings.
Peace and blessing, brothers and sisters. How you doing, Karis?
I'm doing pretty good. So Brother Mike, I'm gonna narrate in here some of the questions of just some high level questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I put on in here, why do we need to invest, or excuse me, why do we need an Invest in Africa seminar? And this was just some of my thoughts. It said, due to the changing economic climate and environment, the world is paying much more attention to Africa as a competitive economic force that is being developed over the next few years. Some may argue next few months. This is an opportunity for us to work with our brothers and sisters on the continent to provide the necessary collaboration needed for success. How would you think on that talking point, Mike? What What comes to mind in terms of what you see when you see the smaller scale of the village to the larger scale of the country and the policies?
What I see is that the world was already there in Africa. They know of its resources. They know. We at Question Night Africa is saying, hey, all right, ain't no problem. But the leaders there, it got to a point where they are absolute upset as to the treatment, the respect that they have received from outsiders. This is what I've seen. Um, and they are voicing their feelings or opinions as to no, we can take care of our own resources. This is what I've seen now. Um, but we come in, and what Question Unite Africa has been doing. We met with, meet with. I mean, we have met with different people there. We know the ups and the downs. We know the what it takes to open up a business there. So I mean, there is a measure of distrust that our brothers and sisters got to get over with. Learn to put aside and move on towards a more productive business productivity side of our lives. And that's the thing I have seen and witnessed. I've seen brothers and sisters that do want to work, they want to open up business. I talk with brothers and sisters on a daily basis as to their dreams, aspirations, what they see for Africa. Don't necessarily take my words for it. Look at the news. Look at the news. See what the news is saying. Why is Africa always in the middle of everything? It's because of the resources. It is absolute. That's what this is about.
Mm.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, brother. That's
No,
what
no, that's
I'm
absolutely
sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's absolutely true. So now that you spoke about the brothers and sisters that are asking the questions, here's another question that I have as kind of a subtopic. Who will be at this seminar? And so right now we are working with East African nations that we have been coordinating with that helps Q2A
Mm-hmm.
determine the critical steps necessary for the organization's success.
Mm-hmm.
We have been able to form relationships with those individuals in that area and are providing those resources that help to create a better decision making process. And the reason I said that, Mike just brought that on out, that what we have been able to do on the ground, what we have been able to, and who we've been able to work with on the ground, and many mm, countries there in East Africa, we have been able to get a better understanding of all of the assets that's there that can help. And what we do is that we get the requirements of what it is that we need to better facilitate, because as Eric had just mentioned in the comment, that is one of the goals of Q2UA Africa. We want to provide a mechanism that generally favors African diaspora to where visa requirements and residency fees are waived.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, these are the forums that's critical, because here's the thing that we generally do not tend to do. We don't tend to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the funny thing is, when I was in the military, I used to work at a headquarters command, and I worked under the strategy, plans, and policy. And in that directorate, you had USAID. I showed Mike and the board my little USAID red book. That shows and validates that you know what you're talking about in terms of nation building operations, and we know what genuinely tends to happen during your nation building operations, right? Well, that nation is usually destroyed by some sort of military action, military intervention, and then it has to be rebuilt. But part of that rebuilding process is this is what happens. Folks go in, and they go in with a group or an organization or some sort of functional cooperation. And they grow in. They go in as a team, an extended partnership. And they go through the vehicles and mechanisms of the State Department, generally through USAID and other collaborative efforts that's contracted by the U.S. State Department. And then they approach the government that's there. And they tell the governments, hey, this is who we have. This is the organization. This is what we bring with us. 30 of us represents 300,000. And then they show them the roles, they show them the rosters, they show them, look, this is our plans. This is our portfolio here. This is our program. This is our project. They give them the high level. This is what we want to have, because in the future, we want to do this, to do that, because not only will it benefit you, we'll also have a benefit, but in the long run, it'll benefit you. That's how they sell this. This is what we would like to help you with, so then you can benefit. Generally, they never receive any of the benefits that's sold to them. And then when it is that they build it on up and they get the government to bless off on, okay, well, we're going to give you this requirement, we're going to give you this exception, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. Generally speaking, it doesn't pan out for those nations that's engaged with those organizations. And then generally speaking, you have all sorts of problems, scandals, cover-ups, people fleeing as, sexual predators and things of that nature. It becomes a problem.
A very big problem.
Go ahead, Mike, because you've seen this with the villages.
Yeah, it becomes a problem. When you are, I do surveys before I go out and do a job. They send me out to do a survey because they want to make sure that time is not wasted, material are not wasted, and that between me, the end user, and the company, it's on one accord. They send me out to do a survey, and I do everything I need to do in order for that job to get done efficiently. This is what Q2UA has done since it's opened its doors. We went out, we go out, and we still doing surveys. We're still doing it. And so in order for business and in companies or individuals to come in and do business, it is very important that surveys be done. And so that all of us will not be taking these blows or seemingly discouragement. And, you know, if you have an individual that may go over there by themselves and they see this stuff here and it does not pan out the way they was hoping that it pan out, we did all of that. We still talk with lawyers today, to right down to this very day. We have lawyers in our phones in East Africa. We can call them at any time. They pick up the phone. They tell us the laws. In order for us to move efficiently and not so much based upon the frustration that comes with trying to do or move to Africa. That's the thing we have done. And you know, and just speaking with different brothers and sisters there, they see the advantageousness of it, of moving, you know, as one and things of that nature, and going, you know, doing business and things of that nature. They see that. They see it. We panned all of that out. We did. We have laid out so many different types of business strategies and business plans. It's like you went to a grocery store and you got a buggy full of business opportunities. This is what Q2UA has built up over the 9 months. And we talking about legal issues already taken care of, has an understanding of how, if you decide hey, I want to do business in Africa, it's mentally, it's already done with Q2UA. It's already done. I mean, and you move on from that particular point going forward.
Well,
We're not
Mike,
even trying. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, because I want to you know, get that, because that's a great point. You make the next point of my subtopic bullet. It's, you know, will the event be worth it? And so, as going off of what Mike was just saying, other organizations that have provided something similar have focused on land ownership and other business ventures. Q2UA Africa focuses on those ventures and even open up the scope of what it means to have a community that is developed on understanding critical needs that the African diaspora will encounter. There are needs of electricity, water, sewage, roads, and other infrastructure related priorities that create the necessary economic conditions to allow for these communities to thrive. Communication isn't just with the cell phone. Communications and lines of communications is done by the mere act of creating a communicable touch point that allows for resource development. And this includes grocery stores, hospitals,
Mm.
pharmacies,
Mm-hmm.
restaurants, hotels, and other economic ventures that create jobs and economic opportunities. What Mike was just saying, that those are all of the opportunities that we have literally just touched. And now we have those opportunities racked and stacked. As a 501c3 nonprofit charity organization, that's the service. This is a service. What's the service? The service is showing you all what it takes to thrive on the continent and how you need to go about it so you don't lose tens of thousands of dollars in the process.
Mhm. Exactly.
And we have seen the stories of folks losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in one extreme, but generally it's been tens of thousands of dollars. Hey, I came on over with about 50. I came on over with about 150. I came on over. And then what ends up happening is that as they come over, they get hit right at the port.
Mm.
They literally get hit right at the port of entry.
At the drop of a dime. That's how fast they move.
And nobody tells you that you literally get hit as soon as you get off the plane. Mike and I got that at the same time, and we're like, all right, lesson learned.
Mm-hmm. Black eye, swollen lip.
So when Mike did that, then when I came subsequently a couple weeks later, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. And it wasn't as difficult. And then we started to understand, okay, here's the pattern, here's how we need to do it, and here's how we get better at being efficient. And this is what we need to bring up to our counterparts. Because when I tell you this, they understand the resources that we bring to the table. But they've learned how to manipulate and connive. I mean, they've learned that. And then what that does is that stresses the opportunity for us, and then we tend to walk away. That's not how we live. That's not how we do. No, I'm not going to do a bribe. No, I'm not going to, pay for this or pay for that. No, I'll see you later. So as they call it, yeah, it may be preying on folks. They call it, that's just the cost of doing business. They're not even understanding the concept of what we have, that no, that's called preying on people, and we're not going to deal with that, and we'll bounce to another country. See you later. Yeah, Mike and I at the beginning of this, we had plenty of conversations.
A whole lot. Morning and night.
Yeah, Mike was like, "Do we stay in Tanzania? Do we go up to Kenya? Do we go to, and the thing is that yes, Tanzania is was a very tough cookie to crack at first, because here's the thing, there wasn't really any strong group influence going on in the country, especially not through any African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we went and stepped foot, as soon as we got to that Tanzanian parliament, and as soon as we made our presence known, it changed the atmosphere there. No, we are not the white counterparts that you've dealt with. Because for too often they've had the cash and the capital to come on over and then jade your thinking. So instead of thinking that you're working with a positive, you are literally working with a negative this whole time.
You know, Karis, Pixie Dust said, what puzzled her or me, how is it other nations can set up shop and have business over there so easily? Trust and believe. There's some illegal activities or money being paid in order for them to move the way they move. That's one thing about that. Because if you go there and you can go to Tanzania. You can go to a what do they call that thing? What do they call it? A gambling thing. And it would absolutely say
Mm-hmm.
no blacks allowed.
Mm-hmm.
How can you go onto a continent that is full of these particular people and you go tell them that they're not invited into a business that you set up on their land? How was it possible for them to put up a sign to say that? These are the things we have researched, we deal with, we have seen. And okay, all right, no problem. We press on. And we know exactly what needs to be done to get around that particular business. But we try to stick to the law. We look at the laws, we see the laws, and we abide by the laws. And we found out, hey, okay, we can move this way. But when you move in numbers, there's a strength that comes with that. That's undeniable. You're not going to knock down no strong man or a strong woman when that strong man or that strong woman has strength behind them. It's just flat out impossible. And that's what we seen. That's what we dealt with. And yeah, we took some blows. We took some major blows.
Mm-hmm.
And we still here though. We still here because now we seeing what needs to be done, what we need to do. We organize, we strategize, and then we attack. We've been doing that very efficiently. That's what we learned. That's what business is about.
Mm. Do you see this? Look, and the funny thing is, this is from Privacy. Listen, there are ferries in Kenya with no black people allowed. Yeah. This is a continent. This is a continent. And see, what they're not going to tell you is, they're not going to tell you this. You're not going to be on the channel that they're going to tell you this. Why? It doesn't appeal. It's not appealing to see any of this. It's not appealing to understand and to show you this is what is going on. But here's the funny thing. As much as we can say something, everyone that's traveled to the continent has a testimonial. Thank you, Privacy, for sharing that. Don't think that what we do isn't important. Let me, that's a great topic. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father, for giving me these talking points. Who can get involved? There's over 200 people in this live. You know what that means? That's over 200 people that can get involved. That's over 200 people And really, that's even more because there's going to be people listening to this right now. Everyone can be involved because everyone provides a unique understanding of the cultural dynamics that we have all experienced in the West. These dynamics, good or bad, allow for conditions of creating and maintaining infrastructure related projects. These projects are the cornerstone of viable economic activity. The intent to create, promote, and innovate on what we know in the West with the resources available on the African continent and those resources chiefly are all of our people. Are all of our people. You don't have to be awake. You can still be asleep. But at the bottom line, people see where these resources are getting drained to.
That don't take a rocket scientist to see. All you gotta do is just turn your TV on and look at the news. You know how you go know where you need to move.
How is the economy getting stronger or better and things of that nature? But the Houthis are shooting at U.S. warships and U.S. and Western ships. I'm going to tell you, it's a lie. And you want to know what? This nation, it just loves the lie. Until the lie doesn't serve them anymore. See, don't get comfortable in other people's lies. When you see what's happening in front of your own eyes. That little ultimatum, stop firing on American ships or else, and yes, U.S. or Western and else, and then what ended up happening? They said, we told you we're Ishmaelites. We told y'all we wild men. Look at that. See,
Mhm.
what ends up happening is these investors have conferences and quarterly reviews and earnings and summary reports, and they say, hey, everything is looking good and everything's that. Yeah, we're gonna have some economic headwinds and challenges and yada 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 yada. Do you understand it's gonna be even more for them to go through the Cape of Good Hope? Oh, and guess what? The Cape of Good Hope, there's another choke point because you have South Africa, which is also part of BRICS. They haven't told you Iran is part of BRICS. They didn't tell you Saudi Arabia is part of BRICS. Pretty soon, Egypt will be part of BRICS. That's all the major choke points that's covered up.
And but who is this really truly going against, Karis? When these nations start joining BRICS, what country is being affected by that? That's my question to you.
We know because it's the same country that we are streaming this YouTube channel from.
Oh, you for real? I'm Cat Williams now.
Yeah, and Hasatan can't create. That's right. That's right. And look at all the things that we have been able to innovate here. The Most High gives us what? He gives us inventions and understanding of things. We know how to survive. We know how to organize. It's just whether you're choosing to or not. Monday through
Yes.
Thursday on Covenant Awakenings channel, I'm telling you and showing you and explaining to you in graphic and vivid detail what has been happening this week. And people have been asking, what do we do? How can we do things? I said, look, we're coming up with it. We're working on it. We're getting that together. And here we have it.
Hmm.
If you go over to Q2UniteAfrica.org, Q2UniteAfrica.org, here's the page. This is what you'll see on the home page. You'll see it right on the top banner, and Invest in Africa Summit. Seminar, summit, tit for tat. Register now. Limited seating. You click on that. Gives you that arrow to go. You'll see that Invest in Africa with the lion. And the scrolling banner. Scroll all the way down. And you'll have the early bird registration. We have 85 days to the Invest in Africa Summit. And it'll show you the instructions. You can read through. And it shows you what we have so far. And this list will be updated throughout until, because we're getting more and more and more folks on the continent coming on board. Because now it's not us that just sees the need, it's also them that sees that need. We have the banner again, and then we also have our FAQs, our frequently asked questions. And you can go through all of that. And I would invite you and ask you to go through all that. And I would invite you and ask you to go ahead and sign up for the early bird registration. Let people know, because the 15th will be the last day. The 15th of January. So that gives you 10 more days. And just to show you, this isn't just limited to it, but here it says here, learn firsthand reliable information about the vast opportunities unfolding on the continent of Africa. Our panelists will include business owners from Tanzania, Rwanda, legal advocates from Tanzania and Rwanda, international business consultants, international tax consultants, and more. And the things grow on and on and on and on and on.
That list is absolutely longer than that. That's the research we have done. That's just a small portion.
It is a small
that
portion.
list is way longer than that.
Mm-hmm. That is really a small portion. Because what we have done in sitting down with our brothers and sisters on the continent, we've begun to get and build the component of trust. Do you realize that they are told, our brothers and sisters on the continent are told, to not trust African Americans? They're told to not trust us. But when they interact with us,
We need you brothers to come back home.
tell them, Mike, what do they always say
They-
when they interact?
We need you brothers and sisters to come back home. They see who the real issue is, and they know that in order, and that they know we have a man. Let me shut up, Karis. You better take this one.
Yeah, that does wrangle Mike.
Mm.
And this is something that we deal with, not just with one country, not just with two countries. This is the sentiment of the thinking and rationale because of what has been exposed to them for generations. And it's reinforced when you have buses on over there with the image of Cesar Borgia. It just reinforces that narrative. It reinforces that thinking. This is the challenges. These are the challenges. Yes, Quest Unite Africa, we ask for donations. Because why? Because those donations enable us to put together seminars like this.
And Karis would tell you, I was not big upon those seminars. I was not. But it has it there's a necessity to this. If we did not do it, we went out there. We are continuing to do surveys. I got to go back out there and do surveys on 1, 2, 3 different countries. I need to go out there and do surveys for that. Period. You know, these are the things that we have. Things have been flat out laid into our lap. Say, hey, can you brothers and sisters come here and do this for us? This is what these brothers and sisters are saying there. From the time that me and Karis was there, and I spoke with people there on the continent when Karis left and went back to the States. No, I was not trying to leave. I was not trying to leave without their information. And we've been staying in contact since then. Because these brothers, they seen what we were trying to do, what we are hoping to do, and what will be done by what we are going to do. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, we had to come up with a seminar. It was like we was forced to do it. We was nearby forced to do a seminar because we had to stop this brothers and sisters going. And then when they get there, they have a rude awakening and they find themselves going back to a place they was trying to escape. We did the research and we continue to do the research. Off the top. That's what we have been doing right down to this very day. In the business ventures and what needs to be done, we have that down to a near about science. That's what we have done. It takes a village to put something like this together. Not no one individual, not no two. It takes an educational people with their different gifts to put something like this together. We done it, and we are still continuing to do it. I'm sorry, Brother Cares. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. All right. Thank you, Brother Mike. I appreciate that. So I want us to think about this because we are focusing on East Africa. One of the countries that we've been looking at, I know I've been looking at this, and we've been talking about different things regarding East Africa. One of those countries is Ethiopia, and I want to really go through because this is really the news segment right now of Q2A discussions in terms of regional, or excuse me, news on the continent. But one of the biggest news stories on the continent that really wasn't covered here in the West, and I doubt that they'll cover it here in the West, is that Ethiopia officially joined BRICS as of January 1st. Why is that so important? Ethiopia is the seat of the African Union, located in Addis Ababa.
And you know what, Cares, let me stop you just for a moment. Explain to them your education with BRICS. How long you been knowing about BRICS, Caris? Then, you
All
know.
right. So back in 2020, I started my doctorate program. And part of my doctorate program, even when you start a doctorate program, you got to let folks know like what it is that you plan on studying in your doctorate program, you know, when you're applying for getting in and being accepted. So when I had applied, I said, look, I'm working on and I'm looking at the development and incorporation of BRICS and how that will lead to a alternative currency. That was back in 2020. Lo and behold, you now have an alternative currency popping on up because that started just this week, again, January 1st. And what's going on is that these alternative currencies are doing things outside of the dollar. And the SWIFT, which is the settlements organization, the International Settlements Trade Organization, that facilitates the trade of countries. And now it's being done outside of that particular exchange. And what was so unique and fascinating was that, you know, they were saying to me at the time, it's like, oh, BRICS is going to be a little different. It's going to be interesting. And, you know, basically trying to discourage, because when you're doing doctorate programs, they want you to do organizational leadership or organizational culture. You know, how do you become an effective and good leader and yada yada? And I said, no, I said, I want to talk about what that's going to do, because this is now something transformative. And that was 4 years ago. I took about a 2-year break, 20 months. And it was awesome because even though I took a 2-year break, I actually needed to have that break because I needed to see how things were starting to materialize. because at that time in 2020, BRICS was very, it was there, it was in the background, but it didn't have the staying power, I would say. It
Mm-hmm.
was in the back of people's minds, but it wasn't really that big of a deal. And then at the end of 2020, it became such a big deal. In
Mm-hmm.
2021, people were talking about BRICS and everything else because why? Because Russia was getting the sanctions just laid on them. If people remember that, 2021, January, Biden started with sanctions on Russia, and then that literally led to the Ukraine Russia conflict.
Mm. So now, the reason why I asked you that, Karsten, and I think the brothers and sisters needed to hear that, to hear your education, your dissertation from it, in order for them to understand. All right, we you have somebody that has a clear understanding of BRICS and the operations when it started. That's the beauty. I was thinking that because everybody don't understand BRICS, especially me. I'll be the first to step out in front. No, a brick, I will literally pick up a literal brick for a house.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's the beauty of it. You have brothers and sisters who are being educated on this particular type of currency and how it is moving. Now, like you said, at first it seems like, hey, it's not a threat. Just like from your words, now from a world scene, no, this currency is a threat to the West.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it
And I
is.
mean, man, go ahead, Karis.
And so, as as I was looking at the development of BRICS and what that meant to it being a threat to they say the international global order, which is a world order. We're in a world order. Don't get people twisted. Oh yeah, the new world order. Man, we've been in a new world order. It's just folks finally figuring on out that world order is being, threatened. So, as I looked at that, I being retired military, I could see the conflict coming, but on that militaristic side of the house, it's a very narrow viewpoint in terms of, well, it's like this because of this, right? So it's a very narrow viewpoint, and they had that in their global campaign plan, which was one of the spinoffs of BRICS, right? You're going to have a challenge to the global currency, the global order, which will then elicit a war. They already knew that. They knew that back in 2004, 2005, when I started to read those global campaign policies and plans. When I, as a 22, 23-year-old, oh, Iraq is part of this because they're trying to stabilize this because they see what's getting ready to happen with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then South Africa was flirting around with it. They still had some things going on, but then in 2010, South Africa became official. And then from there, look, BRICS wasn't really a thing because everybody's focus was on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. But BRICS really started to come into play, honestly, during the Trump administration, because the Trump administration could see what was happening with the threat of global hegemony, because you had The trade war. See, when you start a war, wars always started with what? Trade and resources. And when Trump had said that, oh yeah, it's a trade war, with China, but people didn't realize, or they wanted to ignore the fact that it wasn't just China. This was part of the BRICS organization, because people were trying to say that Russia and China were not connected. Remember, they were trying to say that all the way clear up into literally 2022. Even when Putin went to Beijing and they shook and they hugged, and then afterwards, less than a week later, Putin went in to occupy parts of Ukraine, there was still the denial that was going on. They only started to accept that literally Russia and China and India and now North Korea, actually they started to accept that literally this week. Them four carpenters. What ended up happening? Putin went down to what? Tehran. Or excuse me, someone from Tehran came on up. Oh no. No, that was the State Department, or the foreign minister. He went down into Tehran. And then what ended up happening? Then things started to go crazy in the Red Sea. Now people are starting to see how this is being worked and maneuvered, because all of the sanctions, all of the economic tool belts that the West had at its disposal was now no longer effective. So now it became a proxy war, and that's what we're in the middle of. We're in the middle of the proxy war no longer being a proxy war. The proxy war literally started February 24th of 2022. We've been in war, honestly, since around maybe 2018, 2019. And then it really ramped up with the pandemic. And this nation was never the same after the pandemic. Because why? Because now that it had to pay a higher price. Do you understand how the debt just like went, it exploded? They had to borrow more so they could get more goods in. The debt exploded. Well, why? Because it's a risk. It's a risk to send this equipment on over. So we need to get paid more. Remember, they were saying the economic slowdowns because they didn't have enough people at the port and, whatever garbage that they wanted to have. No, that's the narrative. That's the lie that was told. It was the fact that America was having to pay more for the goods and services coming from out of Asia, particularly out of China.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you start to run up your credit card and your credit card bills, you're not able to really afford all the things that you want to afford. And now we're doing that right now. Now you start to see YouTubers that have their comment sections of folks not having or missing things on the shelves of stores. This is an economic war that proceeds a physical war or altercation. And now we're seeing that. We've seen that in the last 2 years. Make no mistake about it. The Russia was always fighting the West. They weren't fighting Ukrainians. They were always fighting the West. No matter if you want to call them mercenaries, no matter if you want to call them false flags, no matter whatever you want to call it, it didn't really matter. And now they're at the point of time where it's like, okay, well, let's just explain to them that, yeah, they're always fighting us. And now in less than a year, we're going to bring over the UK because, you know, the UK is going to probably be responsible for now that Eastern European element. We'll see how that works, where they have to go through the EU, and the EU will say, no way. We can't support any type of overflight. Because why? Because it's going to be too dangerous. Missiles fail mid-flight. And the missile trajectory between Moscow and London, well, yeah, there's a couple of countries, France and Germany, that wouldn't appreciate civilian deaths. This is where we're seeing, family. This is the impact. And because now the U.S.'s petrodollar is now in trouble, we're talking about Players Club, dollar bill, trouble, 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 trouble.
I was just about to ask you that, bro.
Because
I was just about to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm. The oil that the U.S. has, the blood that the U.S. has, the cup of wrath, one of the key ingredients that the U.S. has is now being taken away. Its currency is now being devalued as we speak. It's not being devalued here or there. No, it's being devalued as we speak. What people are trying to do is they're trying to figure out how they're able to price that in. So here we go, family. And that's not to get people stirred up or riled up and get people scared, but I'm telling you, this is the reality of the ground that not just me, but other academics see.
No, this is not no fear tactic. It's not. This is a business tactic. If you know for a fact, I mean, whether you're in business or not, it takes money to live and die in this world in which we live in. Off the top, I don't care how you look at it. It takes both. Whether you living or you dead, it takes money. It takes money to bury the dead. It takes money to pay for a living person. Now, if you see that you've seen and heard and witnessed an economic downfall where you can go to the grocery store and get a few items, a few. You may walk out with 2 bags. Those 2 bags may cost you $100. That's a problem. That's a very big problem. And we're not even talking about the disruption in equipment or grains coming in.
Mm-mm.
No, you don't need to hear that from me nor Karis. You can hear that from your local news.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would need to, then it's left upon the individual to make moves. All right, I need to reinvest my money. All right, if this is not Karis that's telling you the downside of the dollar, they telling you themselves. Don't trust Karis. The world is telling you the strength of the dollar. This is the reason why we came up with this seminar for individual to take it upon themselves to say, all righty. I mean, if you have any type of faith in the West, all right, no problem. But at the same time, a shrewd person say, in the event that it do go south, I still have an investment over here that's outside of the West economy. So when I was coming up and doing business, it was always said, you need at least 7 different businesses. You just can't have one. You needed 7. Because one or two were going to make up for the downfall for the rest. We can't say that now. Those days are gone. You cannot say that. If you tried to open up 7 businesses here, you started off broke. You're already in bankruptcy. Off the top, you're in bankruptcy. Go and try to do 7 businesses at one time. I mean, when I say one time, I'm talking about in a span of 1 to 3 years. You are in bankruptcy. The money is not moving that way here no more, like it used to be moved. Because now you have a different currency that is making moves and is gaining momentum. That's what's happening. This is the reason why you have Karis in his education when it comes to bricks. I stay in my lane. I'm that person that's on the ground. I'm that person that's digging up that ditch. I'm that person that's meeting with the locals. Karis got his lane. I got my lane. I respect him for his lane. He respects me for my lane. We do this research. This is the reason why we came up with this seminar. We see the effectiveness. We see the advantageousness of this seminar. And that's what we are hoping that individuals look at this and register for this. Because let's just say hypothetically, you may be a person in your 20s. If you invest in this, you will be pretty much well off when you get in your 50s. If you're in your 50s, you're pretty much going to see the effectiveness of your investment. Are you living out your days? Because Africa is on a plateau that's by itself. Show me another country on this planet that can say it is equal to this place called Africa. Give me one. That's all I need is one. Give me one where it's, hey, this is comparable to Africa. I have not seen that one country. Karis, correct me if I'm wrong.
No. No. Mike, it is spot on.
This is one time I will say I will encourage brothers and sisters, individuals, Gentiles, take up this seminar. Just listen. Listen to it. Listen to the business plan. Listen to lawyers in these different countries that we have contact with. That we have our team of lawyers that have sat back, analyzed, asked questions, and start putting things on paper in order to make your track or your movement to Africa to do business, in order for you to take care of your family. This is what this is about. Of taking care of your family. It's not all just about, a selfish move. No, it's not about a selfish move. It's about a business strategy move. That's what this is about. No, you seeing things that's happening. And now, if you really truly pay attention to world events, this is about resources of any and all countries. This is what this is about. Whether it's wheat, corn, gold, silver, it's resources. Resources is the issue. It's resources that's causing this this disagreement over there in the Red Sea. It's resources. It's not about what we call the dollar. Please. This is resources. This is what this is about. And the greatest of all resources is are in one place. In that particular country, the leaders there, they're tired of people coming in and just taking things. It's just like you came into my house and just taking whatever you want. It's going to have to stop. And it appears that it has stopped. But we came, Q2UA looked at legal matters, which they do allow companies or individuals to come in to start businesses and things of that nature. So
Yes.
they left open a legal way for us to come in and do business. And we have that education of how we need to proceed in doing that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brother Karras.
No, you are not wrong. That is correct. There are ways to do it, but they give you, it's very roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Yeah.
roundabout. So, I'm excited. I'm excited because I like to present things to folks that's worth time, that's of quality, that's of value. When I worked as a project manager, our client, the clients that I'd have, it was nice to close a project and whatever we had done for the client in terms of any type of systems integration or, software integration that was going on or some sort of a process integration. I was able to be proud of the fact that, I provided something that was of quality, that was useful, that folks would say, hey, this particular organization or this particular project manager, man, Karras was the best. I had that personal pride. And that was in the world. Something that's now being destroyed, something that's now being wasted away day by day. But here, I thank the Most High because I know that what He has done, He's taken a group of folks that have had talents and individuals, and we're building this together. we're building this together. See, so this is a virtual webinar. This is because here's the thing. Even though we're providing information and communicating information, it's not just us getting the info, but they're also receiving it from us. They're receiving the folks that we have, the panelists that we have, they're receiving the interest and the excitement that's being shared in this community. They're relaying that and they're taking that back. Hey, how can we make this easier for them? This is a real opportunity. This is really happening. It's a quid pro quo, for real. And this is a virtual webinar. We will have our folks on the continent giving out their contact information and things of that nature. We'll have a registry of our folks that have presented or that are on the panel. And we're also looking for vendors. Vendors that will love to support the webinar event by providing their business, their contacts, and what they do. Even though it's a webinar, this is a networking. It's a networking opportunity. Because people may not know what you need or may not know how to help or may not know what services that they offer until we provide that appropriate space and form. So with that said, family, Brother Mike, that's all I have.
Well, yeah, I mean, my encouragement is register for the event. You all are going to see a long line list of different types of business that you can look at and look at what we have put together and things of that nature, and you will know where all right, this is what I want to invest in and things of that nature. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. We're going to give you the legal side of land, ownership, lease, whatever the situation may be. You will get, for that particular country, you will get all of this information at this seminar. And my encouragement is this. And for those that do invest and say, hey, I want to be a part of this, Yacoba said this. If you go buy from a person, buy from your brother first. Your brothers or sisters first. That's how your money get that strength. And just for the so-called African American, they spend $1.2 trillion a year, or here in this country. Imagine this now. That 1.2 trillion, and you took that and you invested in Africa and a particular country, you are pretty much well off. All you got to do is do the numbers, add the math up. There's a strength that comes with, there's a gift, really. It's not a strength. It's a gift of knowing how to move money around where everybody can be comfortable. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Q2A is not looking to becoming thinking we like you got an individual or two or three people think, oh, I'm gonna be a billionaire when I get through. No, we're not even trying to move in that way. This is an organization that is trying or attempting to put Africa where it belongs. And that's truthfully, Africa should be first and foremost out there because that's where your majority of your resources are taken from. That's the beauty of this particular continent. And I really, truly hope that you brothers and sisters, tell your friends, tell your families that this is the seminar that Q2UA has put together after the time we have put in. And we still doing surveys. We still doing surveys. We not just go sit there and just, we started here and then we ended here. No, we still got other things we got to do. I got to get back to that continent because I got to do some land surveys for another business venture that individuals can take a part in. We're not playing with this. We're not playing with it. We're seeing a ship that's going down. If you think that an individual with common sense that's on a ship that is sinking and just go sit there and sink with the ship, no, they go find a life jacket. If they can't swim, they go get something to keep them afloat. And this is what Q2UA is saying to you all. This is what we are seeing. This is what happened. This is what's happening right as we speak. And on that note, I hand it back to Brother Karras.
All right, thank you, Brother Mike. So yeah, so what we're trying to ensure that our people know, this is part of cooperative economics. These other nations have been practicing it for years, and now we're just beginning to develop that amongst ourselves. So, we have to continue to remain steadfast, to persevere, and to continue to promote. This is what we do at Quest Unite Africa. We also have we need volunteers, family. If you'd like to volunteer, please visit us by registering on Quest Unite Africa. We need volunteers with our logistics team, IT team, and medical team. And these are just of the few work units that are here at Quest Unite Africa, working in unity and the authority under Yahushua HaMashiach. We truly mean what we say. This is the Most High's organization. And it is my pleasure to work for it. If he needs to remove me, he'll remove me. But I give him praise and glory in being able to do this. This isn't a Mike organization. It's not a Karras organization. It's not any one of ours. It's his. So we ask you, family, for the support. That's my job here at this organization, is to ask for support so we can bring these webinars. We also have other ventures that we're doing, family, and it does take support. It does take resources. We've updated our donations page. Shout out to Brother Red and Brother Fast Nickel. These are the pages that they were able to knock on out. And now our donations page has been updated. And with the update of our donations page, we're going to be phasing out a couple things, and that's going to be Patreon. We're getting ready to phase that on out within about 90 days. So, our last Patreon contribution will be, we're going to shoot for March 31st. So by April 1st, we're going through the website, because it's some fantastic functionalities that we're able to do. Amazing what happens when you receive your 501c3 um, charitable status. So we're taking full advantage of that, family. But we need your help to continue the work. Things may get easier, but the resources still need to be the same so we can continue to do. And trust me, we understand it's going to be hard these next couple of months. We get it. But family, this is the time that we have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
As Mike is saying, this is the time. We still have other funding efforts. We still have containers to move. We still need to get Mike on the continent to finish up some other business processes. But we can do it. And we're able to do it. Your gifts will help us continue the amazing work with mother newborn kits, supplying medical needs, medical supplies on the continent. It also helps to build strategic political, business, and media partnerships that advance the interests of the diaspora and our brothers and sisters in Africa. Please also join us on Facebook and engage in the discussion for seizing this historic opportunity to build in the continent alongside our brothers and sisters. And don't take that lightly. This is an historic opportunity. We've never been in a time like this. And what they don't want to tell you is this nation has never been in a time like this. Now that the lion is crouching, now it's time to pounce.
Mm.
Will you be a lion today? Please support Q2UA Africa. Please visit us for our fundraisers that will be coming up. We also have Mike's favorite inaugural Q2A polo shirts that's still available. We also have a fantastic Q2A shop. Show your support with that, because I'm going to tell you, family, it's not the question of when or if, but when this thing pops up, when the Most High allows us. The funny thing is, we always say this. We're like, look, we're ready, but we just know we're waiting on the Most High to allow us to get this thing going. We know.
Mm-hmm.
We had to be patient in this. And I'm glad that we were. I'm glad that the Most High allowed us to be patient in this. Because now look at where we're at in this time frame. That's nothing but the Most High right there. So family, we've done our part. Now it's up to you. So with that said, family, most high willing, we'll be back on next week. And I really do mean most high willing will be on next week because things are changing so rapidly. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. We're like out here texting at like midnight. Like, man, this is going on here. This is going on there. Man, you have saboteurs, train derailments. You had planes crashing. Come on now. A B-52 crashing, please. Please. Those things don't
Mm,
crash.
mm, mm, mm.
Wow. If you didn't know these times, you better start paying attention.
With the quickness. Mm.
Hallelujah. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.
Shalom.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa, like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here.
Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Karibuni sana.